You're in a supermarket, facing a wall of hundreds of jam varieties. Your brain begins an agonizing deliberation. You compare labels, calories, ingredients. The anticipation of a sweet purchase turns into anxiety. You grab an apricot jam, but at the checkout, your brain whispers, "Maybe the cherry would have been tastier?" This feeling has a scientific name, and today we won't just analyze it. We'll learn how to fight it. The name of this enemy isn't indecisiveness. It's a paradox embedded in the very idea of freedom. This scene isn't fictional. It's from a famous 2000 experiment by psychologists Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper. When there were 24 types of jam on the shelf, 60% of shoppers approached it. Only 3% made a purchase. But when only 6 types were offered, 40% approached, and 30% bought it, 10 times more. This is how freedom of choice, the greatest achievement of the modern world, has become a source of constant dissatisfaction. In 1975, the average American supermarket offered about 9,000 products. Today, over 40,000. The number of options has quadrupled, but we haven't become 4 times happier from grocery shopping. Rising anxiety levels suggest the opposite. We will uncover 3 cognitive traps that the brain sets for itself. We will learn about the chief killer of pleasure that activates after you've made a choice, and I will give you a defense protocol that psychologists call the satisficer strategy. This killer is the toxic feeling of regret, which we will learn to disarm. All of this is not just philosophy. These are conclusions from years of research by psychologist Barry Schwartz, author of The Paradox of Choice. He was the first to prove that the formula, more choice equals more happiness, is a dangerous delusion. His TED Talk on this idea garnered over 20 million views, demonstrating that this problem affects absolutely every one of us. So, let's see how it works. Our brain is like a processor. When you open 2 or 3 tabs, it works quickly. But when you open 200 tabs with sneaker options, it starts to freeze, to overheat. An excess of information doesn't help. It paralyzes analysis. This state has a name: decision fatigue. Research has shown that judges hand down milder sentences in the morning. By evening, after hundreds of small decisions, their brain chooses the simplest and safest path: to deny a petition. Your brain does the same thing when choosing jam. It gets tired and denies you joy. Secondly, our expectations grow with the number of options. If you only have 2 types of jam, you expect it to simply be tasty. If you have 200, you subconsciously search for the ideal jam, the one that will change your life. This search is doomed because the ideal exists only in imagination. Disappointment becomes inevitable. It's simple math. When there are 200 options, the probability that you will choose the objectively best one approaches 0, and therefore, the probability that you won't choose the best one approaches 100%. The brain understands this and prepares you for regret in advance. Now, a quick test. Think back to your last major online purchase: a phone, vacation tickets. How many tabs with reviews and comparisons did you open? 10, 30? Remember that feeling after clicking the buy button? Was it pure joy and relief, or rather quiet anxiety and emptiness? If it was the latter, know this. At that moment, your cortisol level, the stress hormone, increased. You experienced physiological stress from an act that was supposed to bring pleasure. But the most insidious effect is self-blame. When options are few and the choice turns out to be poor, we blame circumstances. Well, there was nothing else. But when there are hundreds of options and your choice doesn't satisfy you, you blame only yourself. I could have chosen better. I didn't search well enough. It's my mistake. It's like an exam. If you were given one difficult question and couldn't answer it, you blame the difficulty of the question. But if you were given 100 easy questions and made a mistake on one, you blame your carelessness. An abundance of choice turns every purchase into an exam for the ideal consumer. An exam we are doomed to fail. But the most terrifying thing is that even if you made an objectively excellent choice, there's a psychological mechanism that will guaranteed poison all the joy from it, and it activates the second you say yes to one option. This mechanism is a true vampire of satisfaction, feeding on your doubts, and its name is the ghost of missed opportunity. Economists call this opportunity cost, but that's too sterile a term. In reality, it's a choice tax. By choosing one job, you reject thousands of others. By choosing apricot jam, you reject cherry, strawberry, and raspberry. And this is where the brain does something terrible. It sums up all the potential joys from the rejected options. Then it subtracts this gigantic sum from the pleasure of your actual choice. Imagine your jam brought you 100 units of happiness, but you rejected 5 others, each of which could have brought 80. The brain subtracts 400 from 100. Your final score, minus 300. You're at a loss, even if your jam is objectively perfect. Here's how it feels in reality. You're sitting in a cafe with a cup of cappuccino you chose, but around you, translucent ghosts of other drinks hover. There's a latte, there's a flat white, there's a matcha, and each ghost whispers, "I could have been tastier." The more options there were on the menu, the denser the crowd of these ghosts. They are not just an abstract fear of missing out from social media. They become your real dining companions, and they spoil the taste of your own coffee. Now imagine a rural cafe. The menu only offers black coffee and tea. The choice takes 1 second. Regrets, 0. Why? Because the cost of rejecting one alternative is negligible. The brain easily writes it off. It fully concentrates on the pleasure of the chosen item. The absence of choice paradoxically frees us to enjoy. Psychologists call this the liberating power of constraints. Just as a poet, confined within the framework of a sonnet, creates a masterpiece, our brain, limited to 2 options, creates pure, unadulterated pleasure. This constant mental battle with the ghosts of rejected possibilities leads to a state that Schwartz calls decision paralysis. And this paralysis divides all people into 2 camps. The most striking thing is that people who objectively achieve better results fall into one of these camps, yet they feel much worse. You will understand why now. The first camp, maximizers. The second, satisficers. A maximizer must examine all options to make not just a good, but the absolute best choice. They spend hours choosing a restaurant, weeks choosing a hotel. A satisficer looks for something else. They look for an option that is good enough. They have internal criteria, and once they find something that meets them, the search stops. This term was introduced in 1956 by Nobel laureate Herbert Simon. He combined 2 words, satisfy and suffice. Here's what it looks like on a Friday evening. A maximizer will open all streaming services, 15 review websites, watch 20 trailers, and in the end, tired, won't turn anything on. A satisficer will say, "Okay, let's find a comedy with a rating above 7. The first film found that meets these criteria will be watched, and most likely, it will bring enjoyment. According to Nielsen data, on average, we spend 10.5 minutes just choosing a movie or series. Over a year, this adds up to 64 hours, a week and a half of work spent not watching, but agonizing over choices. So, who are you? A maximizer or a satisficer? There's no right answer. But there are statistics, and they are frightening. Schwartz's research showed that maximizers, although they make objectively more advantageous purchases, ultimately are much less happy. They suffer more from regret, anxiety, and even depression. In one study, scientists tracked college graduates. Maximizers found jobs with starting salaries, on average, 20% higher. But they were significantly less satisfied with their jobs, more pessimistic, and experienced more stress. They won in money but lost in happiness. The pursuit of best is not a strategy for success, but a recipe for constant dissatisfaction, because the bar for best constantly rises, and you can never be sure you've reached it. It's like chasing the horizon. The faster you run, the further it recedes. Best is not a point on a map, but a constantly moving target, which guarantees eternal frustration. But the good news is that being a satisficer is not an innate quality, but a skill, and it can be developed with a simple 3-step protocol. This isn't a personality change, it's brain training, like in a gym. You teach it to concentrate not on an endless search, but on the feeling of satisfaction from what has been achieved. Let's break it down. Step 1. Never start your search with the question, "What's out there?" This is the main mistake. First, you pause, and you decide what you actually need. Not an ideal laptop, but a laptop under $1,000 with an 8-hour battery and weighing no more than 1.5 kilograms. In psychology, this is called creating conscious constraints. You turn the infinite ocean of options into a simple sieve. It's enough to define 3 or 4 key criteria. This is your personal reality filter, which cuts out 99% of information noise before it even reaches you. Step 2. This will require willpower. As soon as you find the first option that fully meets your criteria, stop searching. Don't bookmark it to look further. Don't compare it to others. Just stop. This act alone cuts off 90% of future regrets. It's like searching for a partner. A maximizer looks for the ideal person and risks being alone. A satisficer looks for a person they will be happy with and finds them. Apply this wisdom to choosing a vacuum cleaner. Step 3. Integrate these rules into your life. On aggregator websites, use filters immediately. When asking a friend for advice, say, "Name me the 2 best options, no more." When going to a restaurant, look at the menu online and choose your dish in advance. Remember Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg with their identical clothing. They aren't lacking in taste. They consciously eliminated one daily decision to conserve mental energy for more important tasks. You can do the same on a smaller scale. These 3 steps help at the moment of choice. But what about the regrets that come afterward? For this, there is a technique that uses our brain's peculiarities against itself. It's called the art of irreversibility. This technique makes the oldest and most powerful part of our brain work for us, not against us. It turns our inner critic into our chief advocate. Our brain is brilliant at justifying what cannot be changed. Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert called this the psychological immune system. It's our built-in emotional antivirus. It automatically looks for positives in a situation from which there is no escape, to synthesize happiness for us and protect us from stress. Gilbert demonstrated this in a brilliant experiment. Photography students were asked to choose one of their best works. The first group was told, "The choice is final." The second, "You can change the photo within a week." The result? The group with the final choice was significantly happier with their work. Those who had the freedom to change their minds doubted and suffered, even if their photo was objectively better. The ability to reverse a decision paradoxically killed the pleasure of it. Made a choice? Performed the ritual of burning bridges. Bought a phone? Immediately unsubscribed from all tech bloggers and close review tabs. Chosen a hotel for your vacation? Stop looking at other options. Tell yourself, the decision is made. Your brain will start convincing you of its correctness. Act like a general who, after landing on enemy shores, orders the ships burned. When there's no way back, all energy goes into winning the current situation. Your brain is your army. Give it the order not to look back. So, we know our enemies, and we have the weapons to fight them. Let's put it all together into a single instruction set for escaping the choice matrix. This isn't just a set of tips. It's a new operating system for decision-making in a world of abundance. Here are its 4 main rules. The satisficer's code. First, define criteria before starting the search. You're not looking for the best, but for what is suitable. Second, artificially narrow the choice. Use filters. The rule of 3 options. Third, apply the good enough principle. The first option that fits becomes yours. And fourth, make the decision irreversible. Accept it and burn the bridges to doubt. True freedom is not an infinite number of options. It's the ability to consciously make a choice and derive pleasure from it. The paradox of choice teaches us that for happiness, we need not more freedom, but fewer unnecessary options. As the philosopher Epictetus said, "He is free who lives as he wishes, not he who always chooses how to live." Consciously limiting choice, that is the highest form of freedom. Now, a crucial question personally for you. What is more terrifying and unpleasant for you? To miss out on a hypothetically better option, or to spend hours on an agonizing and exhausting choice? Write just one word in the comments: miss out or choose. Let's see who's more prevalent here. This question is a test of your main pain trigger. Which pain is stronger for you? The pain of potential regret or the pain of actual exhaustion?